The crash and the healing. Marcus Storm had known peace only in isolation. The Montana wilderness had been his refuge since Afghanistan, a place where the silence spoke louder than memories and the mountains stood watch like ancient sentinels. But that peace shattered the moment the sky tore open. A silver blaze ripped across the heavens, streaking like a wounded comet over the treetops. Marcus, mid-swing with his axe, froze. The thrum of energy, the unnatural howl, the sheer wrongness of the sound sent a chill through his spine. The object spiraled toward the valley, crashing with a thunderous roar that shook the forest. His instincts overrode hesitation. He grabbed his emergency kit and rifle, packed with old habit, and sprinted south into the woods. The crash site was chaos. Molten metal hissed in the snow, twisted fragments still glowing orange. And in the center of the impact crater, surrounded by cracked earth and rising steam, lay a body. Not a corpse. Not human. She was beautiful in a way that had no reference point. Emerald and gold scales shimmered with each ragged breath. Silver-white hair spread around her like starlight caught in gravity. Wing-like membrane stretched from her arms, torn and bloody. Pointed ears twitched. Her body was humanoid, but every inch of her screamed alien. Marcus knelt, medic instincts overriding awe. "Hey," he whispered, checking her pulse. It fluttered, rapid but strong. Her blood was luminous blue and warm, pulsing with faint energy. He reached for gauze and antiseptic. Her eyes snapped open. Violet, flecked with shifting silver, like nebulae trapped in irises. She gasped in a strange tongue, recoiling, but Marcus stayed calm. "I'm here to help. You're safe." She seemed to understand. Her body relaxed by fractions as he tended her wounds. Energy burns across her side, bone-deep cuts at the membrane joints. Deliberate, not accidental. Someone had tried to kill her before she ever hit Earth. "Zara," she murmured, weakly pressing a hand to her chest. "Night Whisper." "Marcus Storm," he replied, touching his own chest. Her fingers brushed his cheek. "You are human." He almost laughed. "Last time I checked. And you, Zara Night Whisper, are very far from home." He brought her back to the cabin. She leaned against him, weak but alert. His old marine sweater draped over her shimmering form as she sat beside the fireplace, wing membranes wrapped like a shawl. "Why help me?" she asked, sipping warm water slowly. "Because someone should," he said simply. "And because I know what it's like to be left behind." She looked at him for a long time. Then nodded. As the days passed, her wounds closed with unnatural speed. Marcus watched as silver lines replaced deep gashes. Her strength returned in graceful movements, like coiled energy under control. By the third night, she showed him the flow. "Energy," she explained, holding her palm out. A sphere of violet light hovered over her skin. The air warmed. His old shoulder injury, tight and aching for years, faded as the light touched him. "We use it to heal," she said. "To grow. My people call it weakness. I call it a miracle," he whispered. That night, she told him about Serenity Falls. A colony of refugees she was ordered to destroy. Instead, she warned them, saved them, and was branded a traitor. "They called me soft," she said. "But I saw peace worth protecting." Marcus reached for her hand. "Then you chose right." Outside, in the wreckage, a small device blinked red. And in orbit above, 3 hunters received its signal. Hunted through the mountains. Snow had started falling again by morning. Soft flurries drifted through the trees as Marcus packed his rifle, flint-strike fire starter, and a few MVs into his rucksack. Zara stood by the cabin window, wrapped in a blanket that shimmered faintly around her scales. "They're coming," she said quietly. Marcus didn't ask how she knew. The way her wings stiffened and her pupils narrowed like slits, those instincts had saved them once already. "You said 3 fighters, right?" She nodded. "Draconian hunters. They won't stop until I'm dead, or worse, taken." "Then we move," Marcus said, slinging the rucksack over his shoulder. Zara had healed faster than any human ever could, but Marcus knew the real wound hadn't mended: betrayal. Hunted by her own people, branded a traitor for choosing mercy. As they slipped into the forest behind the cabin, the wind picked up. Marcus led the way through a ravine that curved north toward the rocky ridges. Higher ground. Harder to scan from the air. An hour into the hike, the sky screamed. 3 sleek fighters cut through the cloud cover like blades. The sound was unlike anything Marcus had heard, low and predatory, resonating in his bones. Zara pulled him under a rock overhang just before energy beams scorched the treetops nearby. "They've locked onto the crash site," she whispered. "They'll scan outward from there. We need to vanish." Marcus nodded. "I know a place. Caves in the North Range. Deep enough to block signals." Zara glanced at him with something between fear and admiration. "You planned for this kind of thing." "I didn't plan for you," he said. "But I always planned for war." By nightfall, they reached the foothills. Every few miles, Marcus stopped to lay traps, tripwire grenades, fishing line nets, improvised spike pits. Old training, dusty instincts. "What you're doing," Zara said, watching him drive a sharpened branch into the earth, "it reminds me of my mother. She was a tactician. Feared, even among commanders. Sounds like she raised a fighter." Zara's jaw tightened. "She died in the cleansing of Trellin Prime. Killed by her own squad when she questioned the mission. I carry her shame and her fire." "No," Marcus said gently. "You carry her strength." The moment lingered, until the first hunter appeared. He moved like liquid metal, cloaked in iridescent armor, tall as a bear and twice as silent. Zara saw him first. She yanked Marcus behind a boulder just as a plasma bolt vaporized the snow where they'd been standing. "Go," Marcus hissed. "I'll cover you." "We stay together," she snapped. "No debate. Move." Zara vanished into the trees. Marcus counted to 3, then popped up and fired twice. The first round pinged off armor. The second found a weak spot in the joint, just enough to stagger the hunter. It turned toward him, weapon humming. Before it could fire, a thunderous crash echoed through the forest. The ground shook. Marcus rolled into a trench as his trap detonated, bringing an avalanche of stone and ice down onto the attacker. Silence. Then another sound. Not plasma. Not engines. Zara's scream. It was not a scream of pain. It was war. Marcus pulled himself from the trench. Ahead, 2 hunters were locked in battle with a figure ablaze with violet light. Zara moved like a storm, energy cascading from her body, her hands glowing with raw power. One hunter lunged. She raised her palm. The beam of light that erupted from her tore through the air, slicing armor, flesh, and pride. The hunter dropped. The second turned and fled. Zara dropped to her knees, panting. Marcus limped to her, shoulder bleeding, breath ragged. "You okay?" She looked at him, eyes glowing. "I used the flow, to kill." He knelt beside her. "You used it to save me. There's no shame in that." She touched his cheek. The glow passed into him, warm and soft. The wound closed. But something else happened. Marcus blinked. Her emotions, her fear, her pain, they flooded him. Like they shared one heartbeat. What was that? Zara's voice trembled. Bond sharing. It only happens between mates. Marcus didn't pull away. Above them, engines roared. The brother returns. Snow still clung to the jagged peaks, though the skies above were clear, unnaturally clear. Marcus had always trusted the quiet of the wilderness. Now it unnerved him. He crouched beside Zara at the mountain ridge, both of them watching the ship descend. It was nothing like the hunter's sleek, silent fighters. This one was larger, majestic even, carved with ancient draconian glyphs and bearing deep violet banners that shimmered in the thin atmosphere. Zara's eyes narrowed. Royal markings. High command. Marcus checked the magazine of his rifle. Friend of yours? My brother, she said quietly. Keth Knight whisper. Marcus glanced at her. He the one who ordered the cleansing? She shook her head. He opposed it. Not openly. But, he never raised his blade against me either. It's complicated. Of course it is. Keth descended like a shadow given form, tall, regal, and lethal. His armor gleamed obsidian, inlaid with silver veins that pulsed with faint energy. His face was unreadable, his wings tucked close, his steps deliberate. Zara stepped forward, Marcus beside her. She didn't bow. Neither did he. "You're alive," Keth said. "Some said you'd thrown yourself into a star." "Some always hoped," Zara replied. Keth's gaze slid to Marcus. "And this is the human they say you bonded with." "His name is Marcus Storm. He saved me." Marcus nodded. "You must be the brother. The royalty." "Keth Night Whisper," he replied evenly. "Prince of the first line. Guardian of the Obsidian Spires. Currently, very tired of internal politics and endless lies." Zara crossed her arms. "Then you'll understand why I ran." "You didn't run," he said. "You chose. And your choice destabilized the core houses." Marcus took a step forward. "Because she saved lives. Innocent ones. Your empire's problem isn't her. It's the rot inside it." Keth studied him for a long moment, then gave a small nod. "Perhaps. But perception matters more than truth. And right now, the perception is that Zara Night Whisper is a traitor, bonded to a human." Zara's wings flared slightly. "Say what you came to say." "Mother is dead," Keth said. "Poisoned at the Valis summit. The council is collapsing. Factions blame your defection. Others see you as a rallying cry. The Empress's throne is empty, and you are the only one with bloodline claim and public sympathy." Zara staggered. Marcus caught her elbow. "You want me to come back?" "Not want," Keth replied. "Need." The inside of Keth's royal cruiser was a stark contrast to the wildness they'd endured. Elegant corridors lit with bioluminescent veins. Walls alive with moving star charts and battle simulations. Marcus stayed close to Zara. The bond had settled into something stable, like feeling her presence at the edge of every thought. In the strategy chamber, Zara paced before a rotating map of the Stellar Confederation. Red markers pulsed over key systems. Half were blinking. "They're falling," she whispered. "Without leadership, the outer worlds are being claimed by the hegemony." "Not just them," Keth added. "The Black Suns are mobilizing. Pirates. Mercenaries. Former admirals." Marcus frowned. "So the Confederation's breaking apart. And you want Zara to hold it together?" Keth inclined his head. "She has the name, the fire, the symbol. And now, she has something no royal has ever had, a bond across species. The people love that story." Zara looked at Marcus. "They won't accept a human beside me." "Then let them try to tear us apart," Marcus said. As the cruiser jumped to warp, Marcus stared out at the streaking stars. "You okay?" Zara leaned against the viewport beside him. "I never wanted to return. Not like this." He took her hand. "You're not returning. You're rising." She smiled faintly. "Your kind has strange wisdom. We call it stubbornness." They landed at the Obsidian Spires, capital of the Confederation. A city carved into cliffs, glowing with blue and violet lights, guarded by winged sentinels in dark armor. The air buzzed with tension. Zara was greeted by silence. No cheers. No protests. Only thousands of eyes watching. "They remember," she murmured. "But they don't know who I am now." Marcus squeezed her hand. "Then show them." Throne of Exile. The Obsidian Spires were nothing like Marcus had imagined. The capital wasn't just vast, it was alive. Towering cliffs carved into halls of light, waterfalls suspended by anti-gravity, and living structures that responded to draconian flow users. But despite its grandeur, every corner reeked of tension. Suspicion. Division. Zara walked through the grand approach, her wings folded, armor gleaming silver and emerald. Beside her, Marcus felt like a ghost in unfamiliar lands. And yet, he never once considered leaving her side. "They're watching me," she murmured. "Every movement. Every breath." "Then breathe like someone who belongs on that throne," he replied. The council chamber sat atop the highest plateau. 12 draconian elders formed a crescent around a glowing disk of energy, where Zara was to stand. They called her forward. No fanfare. No welcome. Marcus stood outside, denied entry. Keth remained inside as a silent mediator. Zara stepped into the circle. Elder Varen, first of the council, addressed her. Zara Night Whisper. Once firstborn of the Empress. Now exile. You return not in chains, but with power unmeasured. Zara bowed her head. I return not to claim. Only to offer. Offer what? Betrayal? Defiance? Consorting with a human? She raised her head. Truth. Vision. And a bond that may yet save us. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Varen's eyes narrowed. Then show us. Outside, Marcus waited. Until the doors burst open. Human, an armored guard said, the council requires your presence. Marcus followed without hesitation. He stepped into a ring of cold scrutiny. Zara stood in the center, her hand extended toward him. He took it. She looked to the elders. Observe. Their bond flared. Not just emotional. Visible. A ribbon of glowing energy stretched between them. Shared breath. Shared pulse. Shared purpose. The chamber dimmed. Holograms flickered to life, images of the outer systems falling. Pirates, warlords, rival factions. The Confederation was crumbling. Zara spoke clearly. Our strength was never in bloodlines. It was in unity. And we've lost it. This bond, this human, isn't a weakness. He's proof we can change. And if we refuse, Varen asked. Then your empire dies. Keth met them afterward in the royal sanctum. You made them see, he said quietly. Zara shook her head. They saw what they wanted. The rest will take action. Marcus stood by the window. Then let's give them something to follow. Keth turned. We'll need allies. And strength. The warlords won't wait for a coronation. Zara nodded. Then we build both. Over the next cycles, Marcus trained. Zara introduced him to flow-sensitive environments. Ancient trial chambers. Sentient weapons. Living armor. He struggled, at first. Then adapted. He learned to fight beside her, not just for her. She introduced him to rebel factions. Scientists. Rogue tacticians. Those who believed the old ways had failed. He spoke at gatherings. Not with royal poise, but human fire. Not polished words, but truth. His voice carried because it came from scars. We survive, he said, once, to a crowd of mixed species. Not by looking backward, but by choosing who we are now. Zara watched from the shadows. Her heart full. A message came. Encoded. Ancient glyph. Valdak returns, Keth said grimly. The warlord who broke the Rim colonies. The one who called you soft. Zara's wings tensed. He murdered Serenity Falls. Burned children. He cannot live. He issues a challenge, Keth continued. A duel. To decide the fate of the throne. Marcus stepped forward. Then let him see the fury he tried to destroy. The dueling ground was sacred. A platform suspended between two peaks. Elemental flow danced beneath their feet. Valdak waited. Hulking. Jagged armor etched in crimson. Eyes full of contempt. You bring a pet to watch you die, he sneered. Zara didn't answer. She stepped into the circle. Valdak struck first. Brute force. Overwhelming might. Zara dodged, wings flaring, her body a blur of light and grace. Marcus watched, every muscle tense. Valdak laughed. Still hiding behind flow. Zara stopped moving. And struck. A wave of radiant energy exploded from her, not destructive, but harmonic. The dueling circle responded, wrapping her in light. It resonated with her purpose. Valdak tried to push through. She disarmed him with a single burst. He lunged again. Marcus threw something. His dog tag, welded to a microcharge. It exploded near Valdak's foot, staggering him. Zara seized the moment. Her blade, formed of pure flow, pierced his chest. Not fatal, but final. "I spare you," she said. "So you can tell the others, power has changed." Valdak collapsed. Zara turned to Marcus. "We are no longer exiles." Starlit Ascension. Valdak's defeat echoed across the Confederation like a shockwave. Within hours, systems that had remained silent during the collapse began sending transmissions. First outposts. Then colonies. Then entire planetary governors pledging loyalty not to the Council, but to Zara. And to her human bondmate. Marcus stood on the overlook of the obsidian spires, the skyline lit by twin moons. Beneath him, thousands gathered, warriors, refugees, diplomats, and rebels. The crowds weren't cheering. They were waiting. He felt her presence before he saw her. Zara descended from the royal platform, not in ceremonial robes, but in her gleaming emerald armor, wings unfurled, the flow pulsing softly beneath her skin. Her blade hung at her side, forged of light and memory. When she reached him, she held out her hand. "You never backed away," she said quietly. "Even when every star turned against us." "We're not done yet," Marcus replied. Inside the council sanctum, the surviving elders knelt. Not in submission. In recognition. Elder Varen spoke first. "We were wrong. Our laws were rigid. Our bloodlines blind. What you carry, this bond, this vision, it is what we must become." Zara didn't gloat. She bowed. "Then let us begin." The ceremony wasn't a coronation. There was no crown. No throne. Instead, Zara walked alone to the center of the citadel. Around her, representatives from across the Confederation gathered, physical and holographic. Even some from rival empires watched silently. "I do not claim the title of Empress," she said. "I claim the role of guardian. Of bridge. We have fallen because we clung to purity, to tradition. But in Marcus Storm, I found what the old ways feared, connection. Not just across stars, but across souls." Marcus stood by her side, dressed in adaptive armor gifted by the artificers of the Twilight Ring. Sleek. Human. But infused with draconian elements. "I am not one of you," he said. "But I will bleed for you. Fight for you. And love what you stand for." After the assembly, they retreated to the gardens. Zara sat on the edge of the reflecting pool, her wings draped like a cloak. Marcus joined her. "Do you miss it?" he asked. "Earth." He shrugged. "Less than I thought. More than I say. And if you could go back?" "Not without you." She smiled. Soft. Fierce. "I used to believe the flow was sacred because it connected draconian blood. Now I know, it connects all things. Even a broken warrior from a forgotten war. And a human who wouldn't walk away." He kissed her. Not in secrecy. Not in desperation. But in peace. In the cycles that followed, the Confederation began to rebuild. Zara created a new order, the Starlit Accord. Part council, part warrior guild, part peacekeeper force. And at the heart of it, always, was the bond. Marcus trained the first human draconian units, blending tactics and instinct. Their unity became legend. Keth remained as steward of the Inner Rim, always the strategist. Elder Varen retired, his seat given to a young refugee from Serenity Falls, the very colony Zara once refused to destroy. Years passed. But the legend never faded. They spoke of the night the stars changed course. Of the warrior cast out by her people. And the human who lit her power like a star. End of story.